Alright, folks. We're here. Let's switch over. I'm going to put a little volume on here. So, we've got the NASA broadcast in the background. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you have any questions, please hit us up in the chat. Rick, how's it going? Thank you for joining us. So, it's been fun. It's been a fun morning. We've seen Tory Bruno, the CEO of the United Launch Alliance, the launch provider that's going to be launching the Mars rocket into orbit. He was rocking his handlebar mustache, which he's been doing because he loves it, not because his wife loves it, but because he loves it. It was good to hear from him. It's an amazing thing that they've had to pull off here to make this happen with all these crazy conditions. And given all of that, getting everything together, here's Tory Bruno's wonderful handlebar mustache. So I guess if you're new to the space industry and you're new to kind of the players involved, think of Tory Bruno as the Elon Musk of the United Launch Alliance, just as far as leadership. The United Launch Alliance is kind of a combination of what is a combination of different companies from, I guess you could argue, the old space industry before all these private industries started happening. But they are the only launch provider that's qualified and certified to handle this rover's nuclear energy. Because that's right, if you didn't know that, there's actually a nuclear power source for the rover. It's what's going to give it the power to sustain the trip to Mars. You know, launches successfully today. It's going to be going to Mars. It's going to land February 18th, I believe was the date. Middle of February at the very least. And so it needs power that whole time. And it also needs power, as much power as it can, to last its mission duration through Mars. So we've got NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine on here, so let's turn this volume up and listen in.
She said things were rattling there. So we are persevering a lot.
Good thing we're not launching from Vandenberg today.
I think you're absolutely right about that. Things looking good here in Florida. I want to ask you, why did you choose to move NASA forward on this launch in the midst of a global pandemic?
Oh, well, there's a number of reasons, but I think the biggest thing is, the public wants to see the United States of America and our international partners do stunning things.
Folks, if you're listening, let me know if the audio's listenable, if you can hear it.
And this is no different. So look, here's the other challenging thing with Mars in general. You know, we can only go to Mars once every 26 months when literally the planets are aligned, and if we miss this launch window, you know, it would cost us $500 million to store this vehicle for the next 2 years.
$500 million, people. $500 million if this launch can't happen before August 15th. It's absolutely insane. I mean, that's volume seems low. Okay, thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. So basically, just what Jim was saying there, Jim Bridenstine, NASA Administrator, he was saying that if this mission doesn't happen on time and they have to store the rover because we can only launch to Mars every 26 months when the planets get close enough so we can send a mission with the technology we have, low fuel, low energy, it would cost $500 million to keep that in storage for 2 years so that you could launch it again. And, as most government things or scientific missions, especially NASA things, it gets expensive. It usually will cost a little bit more than you think, and $500 million added on for, you could argue, no reason. That is a huge reason to keep going, even amidst all this stuff that's going on. It's not easy. It's not easy. Mark, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Now is more persevering than ever before.
Real quick, we've got to launch, of course, counting down. How are you feeling?
Well, nervous as always. This is a lot of money at the top of a rocket, and of course not just the money, but the entire life's work of so many, thousands of people. So, look, it's going to be a good day. We're knocking on wood, but it's going to be a good day for NASA.
Thank you very much for being here, Jim. Appreciate your
Thank
leadership.
you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, so we're going to keep this on. Mars Perseverance, again, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Mars Perseverance, it looks very, very similar. You can see, well, they had the model here up front, but it looks very, very similar to the Mars Curiosity rover. If you guys want to learn more about how this rover is different and really kind of the history of rovers on Mars and even why this mission is happening, what they're going to do, we did a companion podcast for this mission. It's 2 episodes ago, episode 209, if you want to listen to that. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcasts. It's a good 20, 30-minute episode if you want to learn this, because we've got time. You know, this isn't launching until February. So that's when we're going to find out that it landed and that everything is successful. In the meantime, we're making our own rockets. I don't know if you guys have been following along, but we have our Galileo rocket that we've been designing, thanks to all of you, and we have designed the first piece. So basically what we were trying to figure out here was, if we look at, here's a Falcon 9 model that I have as a model rocket. Basically what happens is you have some kind of a mount. Sometimes, especially for these rockets, it's a metal clip that you actually attach the rocket motor to. And you know, that's okay, but I wanted us to do something a little bit more. And so what we did, thanks to your help here, is design our first 3D printed model rocket stand. So this is the Galileo rocket stand. It's just 3D printed right now. I'll show it a little bit closer here so you can see. So basically the idea here is that this bottom piece threads into the bottom of this, and you load the rocket motor in this little hole here, which then closes the rocket in there, and then we can replace that per launch. And the idea is that it would go into the bottom of our 3D printed rockets. So we are in conversation with our local administrators, people that work for the town, to figure out where and when we can launch. We have a local airport, so most of the town is a no-fly zone. So we're figuring that out. But I've started making connections, getting out there, talking to people. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Thanks, everybody. Hey, John, how you doing? Rick says, I was surprised to see that Mars rover is still alive and kicking. How long do they expect this rover to last? That's a really good question. So Mars rovers have actually done a really good time, especially NASA's rovers, because we just have the longest list of rovers on Mars, have really done a great job. Sojourner was the first rover that lasted a little while, about a month, I believe it was, but not too long. It was the first test. They were just proving it out. Spirit ended up getting its wheels stuck, and they had to turn that down. That was part of the Mars exploration rovers. MER, Spirit and Opportunity. Opportunity lasted until a few years ago. It lasted a really long time. Curiosity, that launched in 2012, is still kicking right now. So that one's gone 8 years or so at this point. So maybe 7, because I think it landed in 2013. Definitely check that out. But they expect this to last as long as they can. I don't know what the actual duration is, but it's built on the same principles as Curiosity, so you can expect it to last as long as Curiosity would. Actually, there's some good info that's going to be here from the Mars team.
It's like a lot of work to put stuff together in order to keep momentum going, to keep people working safely, keep them healthy, and to keep the project on schedule.
There's no doubt that working in isolation, not virtual isolation, but in physical isolation from everyone else, is a challenge.
It's hard for me. I have 2 young kids. Sometimes I'm not able to focus or listen probably as well as I would want to.
A lot of our work
the other
was
thing
in
here.
the clean room anyways, but that meant that even before we entered the clean room, we had to find ways of ensuring that we were not putting ourselves or others at risk.
We're sending Corona to Mars.
Most of the time for these missions, our relation with the spacecraft customer is
Good morning,
really
John.
important. So usually we're able to be here working beside them on their equipment and making sure that all of their needs are covered even before they ask for it. It is a challenge, but we're used to meeting unique requirements here at the hangar, and we pride ourselves in our flexibility.
This is just another mission, just with a different set of obstacles that we have to overcome. It might not be, like a broken rocket, but it's got its own challenges.
Our job is to go into the unknown, and this is just another example of the unknown. How to make this job happen when you're doing it largely through a computer screen.
I asked the team a couple months ago if they would like to do something to kind of symbolize and mark these challenges that we faced, and they designed something that we called a COVID-19 Perseverance plate that's now affixed to the port side of the rover. It has a globe representing all of us that face this challenge together, the spacecraft leaving the Earth on its way to Mars.
Love this.
And all of this supported by the now familiar staff and servant of the medical community. And we hope that this mission, in some small way, can inspire them in return. Pretty much everybody that I've talked to that's associated with the mission has said the same thing, which is, you could not have come up with a better name than Perseverance.
We have persevered through this. Nobody's given up. We will get this mission done. We will get it done through the pandemic.
I think it's a really important symbol of humanity hopefully persevering through this great challenging time that we have right now.
Man, did I like
We
that.
appreciate that team as well as the medical community.
That was awesome. And that really is the story of this mission, guys. I mean, launching the space is already hard enough, and the fact that they were able to do this at the level that they were able to is just amazing. It's a big congratulations to everybody, the NASA team, JPL, the Perseverance team, the United Launch Alliance that's helping this happen. Oh, we've got the two students that helped name Perseverance and Ingenuity. So yeah, so we've got the two students that named both the Perseverance Rover and the Ingenuity copter are there. I mean, how awesome is that, right? You get to win a contest online, and then boom, you're there at the launch to see it. You've got the vehicle assembly building behind you. They're at that press site, which I've been to, which is awesome. It really is. If you ever get a chance to go and take that tour, please go. If you can see a rocket launch, please go. It's so much of an experience that you can't capture. I mean, it would take VR to go to a completely different level for you to gain all the feedback that you get from a launch, the sound, the literal feeling of the atmosphere just getting ripped apart by those rocket engines. It's wild. So if you can go when I mean, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't even know the next time we're going to go see a rocket launch, but I know there are definitely people going to this launch. A lot of my space friends online, a good amount of them are there today. So I wish them all the luck seeing this launch. Yeah, so we've got, 6 minutes and 20 seconds to launch. If you guys have any questions, if you want to say hi, feel free to hit me up in the chat here. I'm going to realign here and have some caffeine because it's still early.
ALC, verify T0 is set for 11:50 Zulu.
So 11:50 Zulu.
All right, so one of the things I want to talk about, and I don't know if you guys have been following this, but now, before I say this, I have to preface this because we've got 5.5 minutes. Have you guys been following all the proof of aliens or recent talk about alien life? Obviously it stems back to Bob Lazar and Area 51 and George Knapp, who was the investigative reporter, the journalist over in Nevada who started that story. And granted, there's not much on it, but the fact that the government went out and released even just the idea that there are these craft that were taken and were put to the side and worked on, reverse engineered, even that just leaked out is such a big thing. I mean, obviously we had the Pentagon releasing the now declassified images of those UFOs, the Tic Tac UFOs, if you will. There's a lot on it. What I would recommend, if you're interested in that at all, there's definitely there's a Netflix documentary that's really good. Also, if you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, he's had all of those people on there. But I will move away from the alien stuff because it's really, if we talk about that ladder of ideas, man, that's very low. There's not much evidence, but it's fun to think about. Rick, you got a question here. Okay. Talk more about the copter. Okay. I'm getting the cane for alien talk. So the copter. So the copter is a little helicopter designed by the JPL team to fly in the thinner atmosphere of Mars. We dove into it a little bit more in that companion podcast, but it's a tech demonstration. I mean, this is the first time that any helicopter will fly on another alien planet. And basically what they have to do, they were testing this inside of a chamber that was simulating the Martian atmosphere. It's really cool. There's video out there of their tests, and you can see them progressively get more control with their helicopter. The first time they did it, I mean, the fans were moving just too fast. The helicopter was really, really tough to control. And by the end of it, on all that testing, you could see that they really do have this insane control. So what they're going to do when they get to Mars, first they have to land, which is a crazy feat in itself. They have this sky crane that's going to have the rover on top. It's going to release it, same way Curiosity landed. Crane's going to come in, and just like the Green Goblin in Spider-Man, is going to have this hovercraft tethered down on this rope, the rover, have it touch down while the boosters are firing, and then release and fly off in a completely different direction. Once that happens and the rover gets out and they start testing the abilities, they will actually take the helicopter out and place it on the ground. And that's when they do startup. They try and make sure that the battery can survive the harsh cold, the temperature changes. You know, the hottest it gets on Mars is, I think, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what it is here in Florida for launch today. So that's the hottest it gets on Mars, and it gets much, much colder there. So even though it is red, it's not a warm place to be. So they got to make sure those batteries survive. And then once they can get all those startup things to happen, then they'll start their first hop. If that first hop is successful, they spend the next, I believe it's 30 days, doing as many tests as they can, which is very exciting. I hope that covers it for you. Again, the companion podcast, listen to that. That's episode 209 of Today in Space. But the other thing, too, here that I think is really, really impressive from a rover standpoint, Curiosity had the ability to maneuver and had the best wheels that we know so far, to able to hold up to the terrain. But more importantly than that, Perseverance has a computer on board where it's going to be able to make decisions on its own. Has a database of things that are safe, things that are unsafe over all the years that we've gone with Mars, and it's going to be able to make decisions on its own, which means we're going to be able to do more. But we're at 1:09. Let's get into the launch countdown here. Weather was good. Everything's looking good.
Rock report range status.
Here we go.
Range green.
That's good to hear, Joshua, right there. Public safety there is accounted for. The
Space
FPS
Force
system,
is handling
the
the launch area and then making sure everything goes well.
You'd be able to see more
Go Space Force.
venting, if there were wind, the trail of that venting. So we're ready to go. And actually, that's an important point. The reason we don't see that venting is the vent valves have been locked up to put flight pressure into.
And just so you guys know, there will be no landing recovery. The Atlas V, although it's a great rocket, cannot be recovered. It's a type of these old style rockets. Still good though.
Status check. Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Mars 2020.
Let's do it!
You're ready to go lift off this morning, Joshua. 8, 7, 6.
Here we go,
5,
people.
4. Engine ignition. 2, 1, 0.
We lit this candle, baby. Let's go! Alright, Atlas V has launched.
Perseverance of humanity launching.
Alright, folks, so you can see those side boosters strapped to the Atlas V there on the side. Those will get depleted and get jettisoned at some point here during launch, after they've gotten rid of all the fuel, gotten the thrust they need out of this thing, and they dump it so that they're lighter, so the remaining fuel can still put that rocket into orbit. Alright, so again, throttling down. See the... Okay, so do you see the sound barrier get broken there? That's why they throttle down. They throttle down because they're pushing against the atmosphere, and if they kept that rocket at full blast, it would rip that thing apart. It would get it destroyed. So I know I get very excited about Max Q. It is the point. They're really one of the toughest points you've got to get through. But honestly, I'm seeing some great views here from NASA. They've really stepped up their game and their camera tracking. And I'm not sure who's in charge of that, whether it's NASA or the ULA, since it is their rocket.
At this time in flight, the SRB chamber pressures remain nominal. The RD-180 pump speed and fuel injector pressures are responding well to demands on the engine.
All right, that's
Stand
good.
by for SRB burnout shortly.
All right, so essentially everything's looking good. The rocket is still going through. Everything looks nominal, as they say.
Pressure signatures look good. Standing by for SRB jettison shortly.
Nominal, for anyone that's just brand new to that just means it's working like it should. All right, folks. Things are looking good. We're almost at 2 minutes into launch here. 27 miles downrange.
Good indication of SRB jettison of all 4 SRBs.
All right, so those 4 side boosters have now been jettisoned.
Vehicle body rates are responding nominally at this time.
But yeah, John, no, it is crazy. It pretty much is an autonomous rover, which is really, really crazy. It's a whole next step above from what we've done in the past.
And coming up on 2.5 minutes into flight, the RD-180 is throttled down slightly as expected. Engine response continues to look good. At this time, the vehicle is 50 miles in altitude, 85 miles downrange, traveling at 6,000 miles per hour.
6,000 miles per hour. This is from a because I'm a science communicator, I have to talk about this, but from a communication standpoint, I'm not sure what this view does for us as viewers. Like, how does this relate the fact that this is going 6,000 miles per hour? Is there a way for this broadcast to portray more of the scale and the insanity of what this launch is? I think so. This is a great view. I would argue this should have been on even earlier, but that's just me. That's just me. I think SpaceX is at the top of their game as far as getting a broadcast that really translates well for what's happening. So fairings have deployed. The rover and the second stage is now exposed to space. It's out there. And basically from here on out, what we're looking for is acquisition that the Mars rover has a signal, that it's feeding back from space, but that also may not happen, which is fine. The rover may not be ready to talk to us yet, but that's okay. But essentially here we're still having the Atlas V booster. Okay, so what's happening now is it seems that there's... Okay, so main engine cutoff, which is we're looking down the main engine to the bottom of the rocket here. That's going to cut off here shortly. And from the sounds of it, I think they are warming up the different parts here that are going to be exposed to space so that they can operate normally. So there's an actual operation where they actually warm that up. But here's our first stage. Yeah, I agree, John. They do. They have the best audio and the best visual. That's SpaceX for launches. This is a great view. We need more of this. Why is that camera better than the one that's on the side of the rocket? Is it a cost issue? Is it just that they are stuck in their old ways? I don't know what it is, but it's really hard to argue when we've gotten spoiled by what SpaceX has offered. As a visual presentation.
So that's pretty exceptional footage there. That's live video. We will see that switch over shortly into an animation that kind of helps let us know what's happening with the rocket. But right there, a beautiful liftoff. Fun to feel that rumble in the building here as we proceed towards orbit and then towards Mars destination.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great watching an on-time liftoff of the Atlas V.
And that's it, folks. We've got launch of our rover. Mars Perseverance, against all odds, has now gone into orbit. It is still, there's another burn that they're going to have to do today. I have to get on with my day here, but I'm really glad that we all had a chance to hang out and talk. And thank you guys for hitting me up in the chat. We will keep you updated at Today in Space Podcast on Facebook, Today in Space Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and of course todayinspace.net is our website if you'd like to check that out. Today in Space on TikTok as well. We're going to be talking about this. We've got until February, basically, is when this mission is going to get to Mars. So we have a really long time to talk about what's involved, potentially reach out to some of these scientists involved and engineers and talk about their perspective. If you know anyone that you want me to talk to specifically, please let me know. Please reach out. And if, I hope you're well. Just do what you need to do for your own sanity and for your own health. Please take care of yourself, not only in body but in mind. The two work together. Really, that's it. I hope you. I wish you well. If you need someone to talk to, reach out. You're here in our community. We appreciate you. Spread love, spread science. Be well. Long life. Live long and prosper. And we will see you for another episode of Today in Space. Good luck, Perseverance Rover, on the rest of your mission. See you guys later.